Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't your average day at the Hustler Casino Live. Things are going to change very quickly because of this ridiculous rule set and all the bounties. Bear with me as I try to describe everything, but every single player ponies up $4,000 up front, and that goes to a universal bounty pool. From that bounty pool, you'll be being paid out bounties. If you win 2 hands in a row, you win like $600. You win 5 hands in a row, you win all of the money that's left in the bounty pool. A couple of fun ones like 7 deuce and 6-9 in there as well. And there's so much more, as you guys can see from the rules list. This is one of the most ridiculous action-packed episodes I've ever made on YouTube by far. So buckle up, get ready. I promise you this episode won't disappoint. Close to broke. It's another day, baby. Let's get into it. Let's get on a heater, baby. Let's win some hands. DJ Washburn is on to win 3 hands in a row, which, as you guys know, is worth $2.5 thousand, meaning he's going to be doing this very, very weak. So when he decides to just open jam all in here, I realize he's going to be doing this with a plethora of hands. It sucks, but I do decide to put my $4,000 at risk here with ace-10 offsuit. Again, under any other circumstance, I would never do this, but in this specific game, with all of the understandings of the bounties, seems like a slam dunk spot to go for it. So I just rejam here. Unfortunately for me, Zio then wakes up with ace-queen suited, and then even worse case scenario, JT behind him wakes up with ace-king. Well, 4 aces go into a flop. It looks like it's whoever's kicker is going to play ace-7 versus ace-10 versus ace-queen versus ace-king. We're running out the board one time for max pain. The flop comes out 7 high, giving DJ Washburn a huge stranglehold on this hand until the turn card comes at 10. Domination, rotation, reservation. That is unbelievable. We are now a massive favorite to win this hand. Going to be dodging just shy of 8 outs, if I'm not mistaken, from all of the opponents combined. Huge favorite to win this hand and over $10,000. Holy shit, and we lose. Oh my god. King on the river, not what we wanted to see for sure. Absolute disaster river there for me, but at the end of the day, the best hand pre-flop ended up winning post-flop. Really frustrating though, to say the least, but $15,000 pots just not come my way. Another day close to broke. Outside of the crazy all-ins, which there will be quite a few of, I promise you there will be some really exciting poker to be played in the rest of the episode. And excuse me if my voice is a little bit raspy, I am coming over a bit of a sickness, but that's no excuse to describe this next hand where there is a limper in early position. I decide to isolate to 150 with ace-5 suited. Pretty good hand here, but a little sketchy when the small blind decides to go for a jam ski of 2,000. Mariano quickly makes the call because he is once again going for the 3 bounties, which, as we mentioned, is worth $2,500. Gonna have to be flicking it in there with any 2 cards. With that understanding, and the understanding that also there's another game that I forgot to mention, the kitty game going on, meaning that the small blind is the only one eligible to win that bounty on the button. It's growing pretty quickly. There's probably like $500-600 on there as we speak. So our opponent, who's definitely one of the people going for these bounties, going for these little kitty game action, the side games, Mr. JT is here to play. I decide to just call it off here with ace-5 suited. Look, I was very much right. Mariano is light here. He only has a jack-10, if I'm not mistaken. But unfortunately, we were dead wrong because JT has the weapons of mass destruction. Flop comes out with 2 10s here, not helping us out whatsoever, but there is a backdoor flush draw that we do have some outs to. The turn card is an ace, giving me a little bit of hope, or at least that's what I thought in real time. And the river card comes out the 7 of spades. Mariano's jack 10 gets killed by 1 outer from JT. Once again, the best hand pre-flop just happened to win. Hopefully that holds to be true for the rest of the session whenever it's my turn to have the best hand.
It's said and done. How do you get aces again? I don't know. Wow. Yeah, how many times you're running?
Got him.
It's so fast right here.
Once again, there are a couple of limps that get to Mariano, who decides to isolate to 300. You can see he's doing it on a very, very liberal pace here. He's getting very frisky in this game. Dylan from the small blind decides to cold call here with 9-7 offsuit. Can't blame him. A lot of action here, as well as obviously a ton of money in the kitty game that he can win. I'm going to go ahead and go all in for $2,000 with ace 8 suited. Should be the best hand more often than not. Mariano pretty much snap calls, and Dylan eventually talks himself into a call, and the flop comes out king 10-8 all diamonds. Don't love it here, bottom pair no diamond, and Mariano quickly puts Dylan all in for the rest of his money for a $12,000 side pot, which Dylan eventually talks himself into calling with 9-7 off. Can't blame him, flush draw open-ended. He's going for gold here. A $20,000 pot that I'm only live for about half of it. The turn card comes in 8 though, huge for me, and the river card comes out a 9. As you guys can see, we ended up sucking out against Mariano as he had a ridiculous king 3 offsuit. Gotta love it. One of my favorite people in the poker world. At least he's out here giving action in a tough game to not give action, but we love to see it, baby. Finally winning a hand there. I'm so elated I damn near cry. By this point in the session, I'm trying to carve out a little bit of a strategy, and I'm going to go ahead and implement it in this next hand. We look down at pocket jacks. I decide to limp here, allowing one of these crazy players behind me to try to build up the pot for me so I can back raise, which is exactly what happens. Zio decides to make it 300. JT cold calls from the big blind. I have a clear-cut spot to go all in here. We were able to get a little more chips after that last hand, so we go all in now for $4.6 thousand. Looking to get called off here pretty light. Zio ends up making the call, or rejamming I should say, and JT folds. We're going up against ace queen of clubs here. Flop is a very spicy one. King 6-3 with 2 clubs and a spade. The turn card is a 3 of diamonds, looking to fade all aces and clubs, and the river card comes a 4 of clubs. Obviously at this time Zio hadn't flipped over his hand until just now. I don't realize that he has a flush, so I flip over my hand, and unfortunately it is no good. Once again getting rivered here. Unfortunate being a favorite and still losing, but that is a part of poker. My genuine question, everyone, here is that if you guys were in a game similar to this, what would your strategy or your approach be to this? Be honest, feel like I was doing my very best out there, but as you guys will see, this session is only getting started. Early position makes it 100. JT, who's been super action, makes it 500 to go. A little bit of a tricky spot here when we look down a king-queen offsuit, but considering how active JT's been and how important it is for me to go for gusto here, 1, because of all the bounties mentioned, and 2, because you know, once again, you've got to be able to put some action in a game like this. I decided 4-bet jam for $5,000. Don't recommend doing this too often here. Nate pretty much quickly folds, and then JT tanks for a while, but eventually decides that he wants to gamble it up. We're going to a flop here, or a run out, I should say, with king high, but we're in a really good spot as JT has king 10 off. Huge spot to finally get me close to being even. The flop comes out 7-6-6. There is opportunities, but that is all gonna come to none. When the turn card comes the 10 of spades, holy shit. I'm officially on major donkey tilt. There is literally smoke coming out of the side of my ears. Doing my best to keep my composure here. This game's getting pretty crazy pretty quickly. River's a brick. I'm damn near on my way home already. How the hell is this happening to me? Why can't I win a pot that matters? My life. Once again, we get a limp from early position, and then JT isolates to 120. Couple of calls, and then the action's on me here. I decided 3 bets to 500 with ace 8 of clubs here, looking to get this heads up here. A pretty good hand, and I would not be surprised if I had the best hand at this point. JT makes a call, and so does DJ Washburn. The flop comes out a little bit dangerous. The number of the beast. Shout out to Iron Maiden. 6-6-6. Action's now on me here, and if I'm going to continue telling the story that I have aces and kings, I should probably continue betting. I bet pretty massive, to be fair, 1,200 into 1,500, looking to get my opponents to fold their random ace highs and king highs. Getting them to fold equity is a good idea here, but unfortunately, JT makes a call. The turn card now comes out the 7, and again, if I was looking to tell a story, I'd probably want to continue doing it. I have just shy of a pot-sized bet at this point, and I'm looking to get my opponent to fold those sticky, stubborn ace highs that are slightly better, and moreover, if I can get them to fold a lower boat like pocket 5s, pocket 4s, that'd be really great. You know, obviously getting people to fold better hands. All that to be said, I've got to put my opponent to the test, and I got to put my money where my mouth is. I go all in. And somehow, once again, we've run into a really annoying spot where JT has 7 deuce. So he floated my damn near pot size bet on the flop, with 7 deuce, thinks the 7 on the turn. Now he's tanking, thinking about if it is worth making the call or not. I'll save you guys the trouble. He eventually decides to make the call. Another $10,000 pot looking to hit my 6 outs, one of 6 outs on the river, and unfortunately it does not come today. I am, to coin a very popular phrase, I cannot breathe for the life of me. I mean, what are you going to do when somebody calls you with 7 high on a flop and they just turn a boat somehow? I mean, you can't really do much, right? You just tip your cap and move on. All right, looking to get some exciting things happening here. We once again reload to $2,000 here, as that's what pretty much everyone's doing at this point, buying in for the least amount and trying to spin it up or attack these bounties. Mariano makes it $200 to go. Dylan calls from the cutoff, and I'm on the button with ace-10 suited. Clear spot for us to once again go all in and try to get our money in good. I go all in for $2,000, and both players end up making the call. We're going once again to a flop here, where I have both of my opponents dominated, and once again, we get outflopped. I am absolutely losing my mind. Jack 8-7, huge spot for Dylan, obviously, now as he picks up a gutter ball to go along with his top pair. I'm drawing as dead as can be at this point. Dylan jams after getting checked to, so that side pot is concluded. We're going to run out here that comes out the 6 and then the 3. Doesn't help me whatsoever. I wish I had a club in my hand, but once again, Dylan is going to win this hand, and once again, the best hand pre-flop is not good. We're getting doom-zoomed here. There is no words to describe how frustrated I am. Being stuck $20,000 in a game, yeah, not great. Not a good look. There's just no way around it.
Still getting just destroyed. But it's fun. It is a lot of fun. This is the craziest game I've ever played in my life. I don't even know what to do, and that's what makes it really fun.
It seems like there are brighter futures for us in this game. I make it $140 to go after looking down at the snowman. The cutoff calls, and then JT 3-bets from the button for $800. 800, pocket 8s everywhere. Seems like it is meant to be. I make the call, and Nate folds. Going to a flop here that comes out with only 1 overcard and a couple of diamonds. I check it over to my opponent, looking to probably call most bets. And when he downs bet to 600, seems like this is a nice spot to do so. I make the call. The turn card's literally the best card in the deck. Holy crap. The 8 of clubs. That is about the best news we can possibly hope for. And when I check it over to my opponent, he's not stopping his betting. He makes it $2,500 to go. Huge bet here and an easy spot for us to go for a massive bet. I decide to go all in for $11,000, and our opponent thinks about it for a bit before deciding to make the call, drawing stone dead just like that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back to even. This episode, I told you, has everything you could want from it. Holy crap. Just like that, I am live to win 3 hands in a row. This is really big, as we are now live to win $2,500, and that is quite a bit of money to really secure a reasonable profit for the session. Nate is in the hijack and he makes it 200. There are several calls, and I'm in the straddle, and I look down at 10-5 offsuit. Well, this is an easy spot to just pitch it, but considering how much free equity I have, $2,500, doesn't take a brain scientist guy to figure out this is a good idea to call. Sucks that I have a hand this bad, but it's important to defend this bounty opportunity, so I make the call. The flop comes out queen 9-4 with 3 hearts, and to be fair, I know I have 1 red card. I don't know if it's a heart, but I start getting pretty mischievous dots. I check it over to Nate, who decides to bet 300, and everyone folds, and I'm last to act at this point. And this is a pretty reasonable spot, I think, to go for a bluff if I did have a heart, but as you guys can see, I don't. All that to be said, there's a pretty interesting bounty here that if I get to the river with less than jack high and win, I'm also live to win $2,500 from that. So that's $5,000 potentially to be won if I just win the hand. Yeah. Not including what's already in the pot. I decide to raise to 1.2k, and Nate decides to make the call. The turn's a king of diamonds, at least now giving me some equity to blast off with, so I decide to bet 2.4k, looking to get my opponent to fold those hands like queen jack, queen 10, pocket jacks, pocket 10s, all these random holdings like that, but it seems like that is not the case. Nate is making the call. He seems to have something a little better than that. The river card is probably my, best option to bluff at, I guess. It's a deuce of spades. If I think my opponent has a marginal hand, I've got to go for it. And this river card's great because it doesn't change too much here. It's either he's going to believe me or he doesn't. The only problem is I think I decide to bet a little bit too small. I bet 3.8K. With how much money is in the middle, I think all-in is a little bit outlandish, but betting somewhere near the pot size is probably be a better idea. I'm looking to get hands like maybe ace-queen to fold and queen-jack to fold, possibly a sticky hand like maybe king-jack or king-10 if he has something like that, ends up turning, you know, top pair after floating the flop with a single heart or, you know, some kind of combo draw. And I don't think a bet this small is going to allow my opponent to really consider making that fold. And unfortunately, after quite a bit of tanking, Nate decides to make the call. Unfortunate for us here, but like I said, it sucks. You know, face value, it looks like I just punted off with 10 can high, but in reality, with all of those things that I told you guys about and how much money was, you know, there to be had, kind of makes sense. But either way, we lose a pot, boo-hoo. There is a raise in this next hand and several callers, and I'm live to win the bounty that's on the button for a couple of $100, and I look down at 8-6 of clubs. Easy spot for us to just flick it in. We're going 5 ways off to a flop that is about the best you can hope for. 8-6-3 with 2 spades. We flop ourselves what feels like the effective nuts here. We blocked top and middle set, which is something to worry about. The bottom set, if you got it, I mean, so be it. Just tip your cap off and give him the money. Action checks over to the cutoff, though. Mr. DJ Washburn, who decides to bet 800. And with the action now on me in the small blind, seems like an easy spot for us to go ahead and make a very big check raise. We got to make it big here as there's so many people left behind us to still act. Our hand does not play well 4 or 5 ways, so that's not the case. Zio cold calls at 3,000, which is a little worrisome, and then DJ Washburn's deep into the tank. By the way he's talking and acting, I feel like he has a big combo draw or a spade draw. Definitely has a flush draw for sure. He eventually makes a fold, and that's something that I will note in the back of my head, that he probably folded 2 spades. The turn card's an ace of clubs. Shouldn't change too much here. I don't think my opponent is going to have a hand like ace-8 suited. Kind of indifferent on the sizing. I don't know what the perfect amount is, but I feel like a third of the size of the pot probably makes some sense. I end up making a bet for 3.3K, and Zio thinks about it for a long time before calling. The river card is a queen of spades now, which is a little frustrating as the flush draw obviously completes. I check it over as now there's nothing else to do with this hand besides check and evaluate. And after quite a bit of thinking, our opponent decides to go all in for $12,000. Which is just shy of 101 here. A little bit frustrating as that is a $12,000 jam and I only have about $12,000 left in my stack. This whole session has honestly just felt like this. I got thrown a life vest at the very end to give me some hope, and it was just immediately taken away from me again. I honestly wish I could figure something out, but at this point, I just gotta make the best decision with the situation left in front of me. I don't think my opponent has a flush though. I just feel like DJ Washburn 100% folded 2 spades, so how many freaking flushes are left to be had? After a really long tank, an almost embarrassingly long one to be honest, it was like 2 or 3 minutes long, I decide that my opponent's just not going to have very many bluffs on this river, so I end up pitching it, and I'm happy I do. As you guys can obviously see, Zio had the old ace-4 of spades. The reason I didn't really give him credit for that hand is Zio's a really aggressive and good player. I would just think that he would 3-bet those hands, you know, from the blinds in a game like this, as he'd been doing for most of the session up to this point. So didn't give him credit for a hand like that. Would have thought he would 3-bet that pre-flop, but at the end of the day, I put money in when I was in front and I folded when I was behind, and that's just the best thing I can hope for. Wrapping things up here, there's a $100 straddle on. I make it $300 to go, and then Nate decides to 3-bet from the small blind to 1,000. DJ Washburn then cold calls, and I look down at a very interesting situation after seeing a 3-bet and a cold call from 2 players that are out of position to me. Calling here feels like a just fine option to do, but I think 4-betting is a pretty important one to be had. Although all the bounties are now accounted for and nobody's playing for that, the couple things to note are it's nice to have bluffs when you 4-bet sometimes, and in a game like this, as you guys can see with the evidence of the hands that are currently had, I can 4-bet and either have really good equity or 4-bet and probably have just straight up the best hand. I make it 3.5K to go, going on the bigger size here, looking to de-incentivize Nate to call and obviously DJ Washburn to call with whatever he has. Being heads up here makes the most sense. Don't want to go three ways, but doesn't matter. Both players make the call. I'll just jump off a cliff or whatever. Flop comes out 7-5 deuce. I do have a spade, and I don't remember if I have the ace or the queen of spades in hand, but as you guys can see in person now from the screen in front of you, I have the queen of spades. That does matter a little more, as after the action is checked to me, I think I should just be checking this back after being three ways, but in real time, I feel like I have the ace of spades, so I feel like betting and getting it in is just never the worst thing, so I make a c-bet for 3.5K. Nate tank folds his pocket tens, no spade, and DJ Washburn obviously is never going to be going anywhere with this flopped flush with the redraw to the fucking super flush, straight flush. Why not? He goes all in for 6K, just a little more. I make the call. We run it twice. I don't improve, and my horrible day gets even worse. Luckily for me, a couple of hands later, I end up getting ace queen again and just open ripping 2.8K, getting a call, and we were luckily able to win with ace queen in that spot to get us just shy of $6,000 on the session. One of the biggest losses I've ever shown on this channel, and the biggest loss I've ever had on stream. Definitely something painful, but we'll talk a little more about it now.
I can do this with my eyes closed.
Rain. Hashtag rain, go away. Don't come back today. Well, that was pretty unfortunate. I don't think there's any better way to sum up how I felt yesterday than the following day there being a frick load of rain out, and it's very gloomy. But not that this is the weather channel and what you were expecting to click on. We have a not so somber feeling. Your biggest loss in poker always has to come, and unfortunately mine came by way of death of 1,000 blows. I really did enjoy myself though. The gang, the group there was obviously a tougher group than usual, but it was still a really wonderful time. So big thank you to everyone that invited me out, you know, Raver for putting it on, and Sandor, and obviously Ryan Feldman and Nick Bertucci. But good news is, after getting lashed yesterday by the poker gods, hopefully I'll be playing on the hustle a little more often. Outside of that, obviously the things of note. So we were into the game for 25,000 and out of the game for 5.8 thousand, which is going to be a resounding damn near $20,000 loss. The only way we can get that back is obviously by playing more poker. And the big announcement is probably the best part of today's video. I'm going to be doing the close to broke giveaway once again, the WSOP giveaway. So it's very simple. It's the same rules every year. You have 60 to 90 seconds. You have to make a video. It has to be a video of you talking to the camera about why I should pick you to come to the World Series of Poker with me and get a free roll into one of the tournaments, as well as enjoy yourself out there. Haven't decided how many people we're going to do this year. Obviously logistics play a big part of it, but at the very least we'll do one contestant this year. Hopefully we can do a couple more. Just depends on how much money this video makes, I'm being honest, because right now we lost 20,000, and with ad revenue, if you carry the 1 and add the 2, we'll probably make about $17.43 on this video. So that's one step at a time, baby. Only like what, 10,000 more videos to go to break even. Either way, I appreciate you guys for watching. It was a really wonderful day today outside of the rain. We got to hit the gym. Mike's gonna be doing some fun stuff. I'll see you guys in the next episode, but until then, stay happy, healthy, and more importantly, we're good at the tables, y'all. Deuces. I almost forgot. Make sure to email c2bpoker@gmail.com your video entries. This will only be open for 1 month. This is the shortest amount of time we're ever doing it. So start sending over your videos now. I look over them personally all the time. So make them personable, make them about your personality. That's really important. But yeah, I guess I'll fuck off now. Bye.